Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to HansaMatrix Investor Conference webinar about financial results and company's activities in the third quarter and 9 months of 2017. Today we are hosted by the CEO of HansaMatrix, Ilmārs Osmanis, and CFO Māris Macijevskis. Before I give the floor to Mr. Osmanis and Mr. Macijevskis, let me shortly remind you about the agenda of the webinar. Firstly, we will have company's presentation, after which we will proceed with the questions and answers session. We have already received some questions from investors. If you also have any questions that you would like to ask to Mr. Osmanis or Mr. Macijevskis, please use the questions box on the right-hand side of your screen. All questions will be addressed after the presentation. Ilmār, Māri, I invite you to start the presentation.
Good morning, everyone who is participating, and good morning and hello, everyone who will listen in record mode. HansaMatrix presenting today a third quarter and 9-month results of 2017. And presenter, besides myself, we will have also our new CFO, Māris Macijevskis, giving part of presentation. This time we decided a little bit expand presentation and in front of all detailed material provide you executive summary. Invest at HansaMatrix.com, that's the email you can use to ask questions regarding investments and becoming investor shareholder on any related issues. So who is HansaMatrix? HansaMatrix is 20 million turnover, currently 20 million turnover company, with sales split in 47% Baltic countries and almost equal quarter in Nordic and the rest of EU, and a little bit 4% outside EU. Plants are located in two locations in Latvia and Baltics, and product development location is close to capital Riga. There is a lot of key strengths and strategy which we can read in a slide. Maybe afterwards I won't stop too much on this. 2017 business trends. What we are seeing that market is kind of developing very strong in data network systems. Global market is driven by, of course, substantial increase of data usage, cloud computing, and a lot of services that are launched now in networks. From other hand, HansaMatrix B2B customers are mid-sized professional products, OEM companies that are in growth phase. Another important note is that this year HansaMatrix Innovation successfully launched a knowledge-based business, so it's been structured as a separate sales line, which was kind of focusing on R&D work and new product development. And during first 3 months, 3 quarters or 9 months, initial sales reached 0.61 million euros, which represents 4.2% share of turnover. Intention is to increase this share in the future. And during 9 months of 2017, HansaMatrix started manufacture of advanced professional optic products, and on the right-hand side you see example of one of such complex product. Results summary, third quarter and 9-month results summary highlights. Q3 quarterly turnover exceeded 5 million euros. 9-month turnover closing in to be 15 million euros, and TTM closing in 20 million euro turnover mark. Year-to-year growth for the same TTM period comparing to 4 quarters back is 27% in turnover and 49% in EBITDA growth. So in a table we see very brief summary of the results. Also, we would like to always, being in business, you have to compare how you're performing among industry peers, and here we are providing a brief table of similar companies that are listed in Baltic or Nordic. And you can see that actually HansaMatrix shows the highest EBITDA margin and also one of highest net profit margins in a market. yeah, we could say that this is due to competent management, good strategic sense for business development. 5 years growth, aggregated growth rate of top line has been around in a level of 25% as well. So this kind of completes our executive summary. Now we are proceeding for results in detail, and there will be Q3 and followed by 9-month results in detail, which will be given presentation by Māris. Māris, the floor is yours now.
Yeah, thank you, Ilmārs. So, hello, my name is Māris Macijevskis, and since September of this year, I'm CFO at HansaMatrix. So, my previous background is mainly from corporate banking in Latvia. So, today, starting with quarter results. As you can see in the figure, we have managed to reach 5.22 million euro turnover in the third quarter of this year, achieving 15% growth year on year and 8% growth as compared to the second quarter of this year. And we can also proudly say that this quarter we recorded historically highest sales result. And also in the attached figure you can observe the solid trend of constantly growing quarterly turnover since the start of 2015. Next, if we look at third quarter sales split by region, we can see that 3 main regions where we sell are Baltic states with 45% of total, Nordic countries and other EU countries with 26% each of total, and deliveries outside EU are comparably small, only 3%. And as it can be observed in the figure, starting with 2015, the general trend is that the quarterly sales in all 3 main regions are growing. In the last quarter, we achieved 10% year-on-year growth in Baltics. Nordic sales decreased by 13%, but solid growth was observed in sales to other EU countries, 58% year-on-year. Next, moving to results, to which segments we sold in third quarter of this year. As you can see, 2 main segments are data network products with 55% and industrials with 30% of total, which are both well-established industries. So Internet of Things and other segments were comparably smaller than these 2, respectively 6 and 9% of total. And in this quarter, data network segment grew by 69% year-on-year, but other 3 segments contracted. Industrial segment decreased by 9%, Internet of Things by 6%, and other products by 40% year-on-year. We consider these as quarterly fluctuations, and we would like to stress that the positive trend of quarterly sales in our 2 key segments, data networking and industrial, that can be observed in the figure starting with year 2015. Then about profitability, this quarter we achieved very good profitability results. Actually, these are historically best and record high. So quarterly EBITDA was 1.12 million euro, which is 50% up on year-on-year basis and 44% up from second quarter of this year. Net profit we achieved this quarter amounts to 500,000 euros, which is significantly up as compared to third quarter of last year and also the second quarter of this year, respectively 73% and 114%. Margins this quarter also were at very healthy levels. EBITDA margin was 21.5% and net profit margin 10.2%. So let's move to 9 months results. In 9 months of this year, we achieved 14.5 million euro sales, which is also a record high figure and represents a 22% increase as compared to the 9 months of the last year. And also you can observe that 9 months periods of last 3 years show a healthy growth. Then if we look at the 9 months sales split by the region, we sold mainly to Baltic states, 47% of total, Nordics 25% of total, and the rest of EU 24% of total. The fastest growing region in terms of 9 months sales on year-on-year basis was Baltics with 33% growth, which was followed by the rest of EU countries with 24% growth. Nordic countries contracted, but this contraction was more than compensated by the sales growth in Baltics and the rest of EU. Next, speaking about the segments during 9 months of this year, we see that split was to data networks 52% and industrial segment 34% of total. Internet of Things and other segments were smaller, respectively 5 and 9% of total sales. And the highest sales growth of 52% was achieved in data networks products as compared to the same period of 2016, followed by the industrial segment with 9%. Then if we look at the profitability, results for 9 months of this year, as you can observe in the figure, the profitability results are significantly better than in previous periods and also are actually historically record high. So we managed to achieve 2.87 million euro EBITDA, which represents 74% increase as compared to the last year, 9 months, and 1.2 almost million euro net profit, which is 167 year-on-year increase. And margins, as you can see, were 19.7 and 8.2% for EBITDA and for net profit. So next, Ilmārs will continue.
Yeah, well, hello, back attention to me now. We are proceeding with TTM or 12-month results, ending with Q3. So chart shows that basically these 12-month periods, as you can see, provide much more consistent period for analyzing all business ratios, since quarters might be from quarterly some seasonality and quarterly changes that could be much higher and here. So this 12-month period we're analyzing here started October 1, 2016 and ending September 30, 2017. TTM turnover growth grown to 19.55, 4% up from period ending 1 quarter back, which was very close to what we were forecasting for next year turnover. TTM EBITDA result is for the same period 3.43 million, which is kind of represents 12-month very healthy figure, and which is 13% up from period ending Q2. Net profit is for the same period, which is 12-month period, is 1.33 million euro, which is 20% up from period ending Q2 2017. EBITDA margin reported as 17.5. TTM net profit margin reported 6.8. And also margins, as already we did this peer analysis, are highest among industry peers. Update on other activities. We are starting from this year, we are starting to separate also our knowledge, more knowledge-based sales. We include R&D and R&D new product prototypes and new product industrialization part in this sales, services and actually products which include knowledge. And Q3 reported sales amount was 0.23 million euros, which is 4.3 share of quarterly consolidated sales, which is 22% down from Q2. but again, Q3, this is still startup period, so this is not a trend. It's kind of a little bit some fluctuation between projects starting and finishing. 9-month R&D sales reported 0.61 million euros, and share in our sales for 9 months is 4.2%. I just worth to mention that any kind of grant financing not included in reported results. Important activity, since our R&D teams are growing, we had to find some larger premise to move in, and which we did during September. So R&D teams moved to larger premises at Ziedlaju iela 1, which is Mārupe, like 500 meters from Riga. So since January this year, as we already been mentioned, HansaMatrix Innovation created new manufacturing division and started production of new products in optics, including development and small series production of lenses. During Q1, also HansaMatrix concentrated moved all new product and technology development activities and assets in HansaMatrix Innovation Company, which is 100% owned by HansaMatrix Group. R&D team currently includes 22 engineers and researchers, out of whom 6 hold PhD level degrees in engineering and physics. Investment activities during Q3 and 9 months. During 9 months, HansaMatrix made approximately 1.7 million euro investments in production capacity increase, research instruments, test systems, development of new products. During 2017 Q3, approximately 1 million from total investment were made. So Q3 was very productive in terms of investment. Besides other things, new production equipment was installed in Paragle plant at level 0.15 million euros, and new production equipment in Ventspils plant level 0.55. The rest stands for different smaller things. Additionally to the mentioned amount, company has finished finance development of construction project for new production building extension in Paragle plant for amount of 135,000 euros. Investment in associated companies. We have 2 associated companies in the status associated. One is LightSpace Technologies, other is HansaMatrix. During 2017 Q3, HansaMatrix made investment of 189,000 euros in LightSpace Technologies, and during 9 months, the total amount invested in LightSpace is on level 359,000 euros. HansaMatrix currently owns 47.21% of LightSpace Technologies share capital. During Q3, HansaMatrix has provided additional 72,000 euro funds in form of convertible loan to associated companies in HansaMatrix. A little bit more, one slide for each associated company. LightSpace Technologies is one of the actually owning IP rights and doing technology development in the field of 3D image displays. And LightSpace has developed time multiplex multiplane display system. Has been regarded as is quite useful for a lot of professional applications, so not so much for entertainment. However, but the actually facts that LightSpace has launched first commercial model into production in August 2017, so it's just launching. Also has signed first R&D contract of close to €250,000 in September 2017, and LightSpace already started to supply these products to the customers for evaluation periods. 2 customers been supplied in US in scientific isolation and aviation technologies. During 3 months, display being on demonstration in our San Jose office, and already 12 potential customers have actually seen it. Investments and in HansaMatrix is actually a purpose of those investments is to build up or construct high-tech park in Riga airport area, where HansaMatrix will be like key tenant, or will be developing his 3rd manufacturing site. During Q3, HansaMatrix has invested 25,000 euro in construction of technical project in project development of tech construction. During 9 months, actually investments totaled 139,000 euros. And currently works is going on to search for real estate investors to support the realization of this project, which will be Riks High-Tech Park. Also, it's planned to complete construction project, which is financed right now by HansaMatrix loans by February 2018. So you can see in images here how supposed to look finished building. Other events during reporting period. Shareholder, as it was already mentioned before, shareholder Makoriga has started repayment of shareholder loan. First repayment was done on April 3. It was 100k euros. Also important event happened in April. The company signed contract with finance and contract agency on a funding of the R&D investment project in pilot production line, where the support from the grant support will be provided around 1 million euros over the next 3 years. Also, HansaMatrix paid dividend of 3 cents per 1 share for the year 2016 in May 25 to 17. Also, during Q3, HansaMatrix signed industrial leasing agreement with Swedbank for an amount of 700,000 euros, which were supported by Altum credit guaranteed amount of 562,000 euros. Significant events after end of reporting period. According to new corporate income tax law or changes to law endorsed by Latvian Sejm on July 28, 2017, at the end of year 2017, HansaMatrix will reverse future corporate income tax provisions that were kind of accumulated with a previous law regime. Total provisions that will be reversed end of year will be 548,000 euros. It might a little bit deviate from this figure, but that's currently how we see. Out of which 313,000 will be added to net profit, so actually they will increase net profit for a year, and 236,000 euros will increase directly increase equity reserve, and which will kind of strengthen solidity of the company. And these corrections will be added to 2000 Q4 and 12-month non-audited and year 2017 IFRS audited results. Guidance statement. As we already mentioned that when we listed company, which was just last year, we have provided investors with the guidance revenues to reach up to the year 2018 to reach 20 millions. As the time approaches, this guidance confidently fulfills. As we see, we are approaching this figure very closely already. And it was also previously announced HansaMatrix estimate of gross revenues for coming 3-year period, and we are estimating that business will continue to grow and to reach 30 million euro turnover by year 2020. EBITDA margin by year 2020. Actually, also for long term, we are estimating will be between 12 and 15%. Yes, so we are having. I will continue here with the questions that were submitted. That were submitted before webinar by yesterday afternoon. Those are included into my presentation. After I finish those, we will switch to already submitted new questions. So questions were submitted following. Please elaborate which higher margin products enabled to improve margins in Q3. Here we really cannot provide you any detailed answer. Basically, manufacturing contracts with customers are confidential by nature, and at the moment it's not possible to disclose exactly which products were providing these margins. So there are no useful answer for this on this question. Actually, so question 2, please indicate breakdown of data network product sales by product types, also would breach our confidentiality agreements with customers, so we really cannot provide answers on those two. Do you expect a strong margin level reached in Q3 can be sustained in coming quarters, or it could come down already in Q4? Also, this is forward-going statement or answer. So we cannot give you a reliable answer on this question. Margin levels generally depend on product mix produced in any given quarter. Currently, we are seeing strong bookings in a high margin products. However, there is always Q4 includes some season element. So the holiday season, which usually reduces business activity and amount and connected to this profit level in December month. So that might influence Q3. And kind of how exactly these all elements will add up, we only see when Q4 will kind of happen. Could you discuss broadly the company's average EBITDA margins by product segments? In general, EBITDA margin levels are directly connected to the product complexity in manufacturing process, and as our pricing model and actually pricing model is based on cash flow, actually not so much on cost plus principle. It's more cash flow. So basically, it reflects more ability to sell investments rather than to sell like labor. In this kind of concept, complex and professional products tend to have higher manufacturing margins, and of course good examples are products used in medicine, avionics products. However, there could be good examples of high margin product also from other market segments, but also any particular example we cannot really provide you as example because due to the same confidentiality customer agreements. Question number 5. In which countries are located your main clients counted as the rest of EU, where respective growth is mainly coming from? Considering the size of EU, the rest of EU, and generally EU market for industry like integrated manufacturing, certainly our share is so small that we could say we have it just randomly located customers. We're finding them as a good match or big efforts in marketing, but in today's the fact is that the rest of EU customers are located over several countries. It is Czech Republic, it's Germany, France, and UK. Question number 6. Who are the main owners of 52.7% of LightSpace shares? So this is publicly, you can check that in company register, but currently it lists that Baltic Latvia Venture Capital Fund list states 27.14%, in Premature Capital Seed Fund 6.25% in 21%, and in Premature, there is spelling mistake in name, it's in Premature Capital Technology Venture Fund 19.37%. But that's, you can always check that in a company register. When do you expect the repayments of shareholding loan to continue, and when it should be fully repaid? As it was already mentioned on a listing prospectus, that shareholder loan was created by transaction of separating of bad assets out of company 2 years before listing. There was no actually money paid or anyhow used. Shareholder hadn't used any financial resources of the company. Macro Riga has planned to repay this loan over a 2-year period. Process is connected, of course, to the potential divestiture of number of shares to new free float shareholders, and that's also the process, how it proceeds, also very much connected to find the right kind of shareholders for company. I think that completes early submitted questions, so we can now proceed to the ones which are submitted.
Yes, Ilmārs, Māri, thank you for the presentation. Now I will proceed with the questions in the order they were received. A reminder to those who haven't yet submitted their questions, you can do it in the questions section in the settings panel zone. So the first question is to Mr. Macijevskis. Could you please tell more about your professional background, just for an introduction?
Yes, sure. Well, if there is a more detailed interest, my professional profile is on LinkedIn, so you could check it there. But my background, basically, I have 15 years of experience in Latvian banking sector, in banks like Baltic Trust Bank, SEB, and more recently and longest experience in Citadele. where I was head of corporate client department and segment, responsible for this segment strategy and development and etc. So yeah, I am CFA charter holder also. So that's basically key things about me.
Okay, thank you. And another question is from a listener who joined a little bit too late. Therefore, could you say again how big was the turnover for this year's third quarter?
Okay, maybe we switch the voices again. So as already was mentioned during presentation, we achieved 5.22 million euros turnover for Q3 and 14.56 for the 9 months.
Okay, thank you. All questions are answered, and the recording of the webinar will be available in the Nasdaq Baltic YouTube channel and in company's announcements later today. Mr. Osmanis and Mr. Macijevskis, thank you for the presentation and for answers given. Participants, thank you for joining.
Thank you for audience and careful and listening for whole this presentation. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.